It will be
Hi.
for us.
Hello, how are you? How are you, Angela? Really pleased to have you.
Hi, Dolores.
Yeah, hi, pleased to have you. Can you hear me clearly?
I can
Oh,
hear
that's
you
really
clearly.
fantastic. Right, okay. Okay then, so I'm just going to start off by introducing you. This is Angela. Do I pronounce the name Karanja? Is it just Karanja or Karanje or Karanja or
Karanja.
Karanja?
So easy.
Yeah, so easy. That's great. Okay then, so
Yeah.
Karanja is an adolescent psychologist and parenting teenagers expert. Um, Angela has 20 years experience or more with working with children and teenagers mainly. And Angela comes from Kenya and her background is absolutely amazing. You are resilient. When I when I learned that you were growing up in quite, difficult circumstances.
Dolores, you got lost?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. My screen completely blacked out.
Oh, bless you. It froze. No,
Yeah, I just
don't
all I had
worry.
was a black screen, no faces.
Well, these are the joys of technology. And don't you worry.
So I think whoever it is, the internet, YouTube, StreamYard, something's wrong with technology here. Right, okay, so I'll continue and then I'll have to speak to the organisation to find out what the issue is later if we get cut off again. Please tell everybody what you'd like to tell them about, why you started the adolescent psychology. That's what I'm really interested in, because we've got so many children in care, and when they come out of care in teenagers, they actually come out damaged, many of them. So obviously there are no psychologists, in the care industry taking care of children. Or teenagers,
Yeah,
rather.
for me, yeah, absolutely. What you said is very, very true. That obviously the teenagers can be challenging, right? You have said it. Teenagers can actually be very challenging. And one thing I have noticed in research and in parenting myself as a parent of a teenager actually is that the challenge we experience is because we as parents have not learned to parent differently. The young people are moving from being a young child, a small child who just obeys and listens and does what they're told, to having a mind of their own. And this, as they grow, as they move over, as parents, we need to be able to be fluid with them. And this is where the clash comes. So,
Fluid.
to be honest,
Yeah.
our teenagers, our young people, they're actually not challenging, right? If you think about it, the challenge comes when we are not fluid, right? As parents, if you think about about water, right? Water is very fluid. Even when it meets when it's going down the river, right? It just goes. When it meets a stone, a reef, whatever, it doesn't bash through. What it does, it just goes round it and just keeps going because the water is heading down the sea. It knows where
Yeah.
it's going. So
Yeah.
if we as parents can understand and know where we are going, then we would never actually have to clash with our kids.
Do you think
No.
that parenting should be taught? Because it is obvious. I mean, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm one of those people who who could have done a lot better with bringing up, my daughter. Do you think that really parenting should be taught, or parents should make the decision whether they want to go to any kind of parenting sessions?
Do you know what? I believe parents are leaders, right? And what do
Yeah, yeah.
leaders do? Leaders are learners.
Please.
So
Right.
if you actually have never proactively learned about how to parent, we need to question ourselves as leaders, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
this is definitely not to bash anyone or to say
No.
this is not what this is about. Even I have fallen prey of, I have been guilty of not actually practicing what I preach, right?
Okay.
And I had to take a whole turn around and actually do what I always told parents to do. Because for example, when my teenager, she turned about, she's a very strong-willed young person, and I like it like that, because I know all young people are born strong-willed, and to be honest, if they were not strong-willed, they would never have been born. And think about this, right? If you've ever found yourself moaning and complaining, oh, this kid will not listen, they're not doing what they're being asked to do, I want you to think about it. If your kid was not strong-willed, I promise you that sperm would never have reached that ovum.
Yeah, that's true, because the sperm actually fights, doesn't it? It fights among other thousands
absolutely
to get there.
fights
Yeah.
thousands, and it's focused and it goes,
Yeah.
So we need that is the one thing we need to first of all appreciate and accept, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes. Determination.
so that is just one of those things that wow, so how do I deal with this? What do I do with this strong-willed young person? So this is what happened for me when I realized, oh, things are thick. Obviously, I've been working with young people for a long time. And then I started working with parents, and I was telling them these strategies that work. And these strategies are powerful strategies that actually work. Then,
Yeah.
I remember when my daughter was coming into teenagehood, and obviously she started exhibiting those teenage behavior of really even wanting to be alone, doing her own things, and then there was quite a bit of rudeness that started coming out, and for me, I started thinking, why are you speaking to me like this? This is not what I taught you, right? This is not what I taught you. And I was getting frustrated. I was really, really getting frustrated. And there was that thing of constantly isolating herself, and then aggression, right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, one day I was taking her to guides. She used to go to the girl guides at about, I think it was 6. Yeah. So at this point, I am actually feeling scared of my own daughter because of this constant outburst. And I can tell you what, most parents report to feel the same. You know, you don't know what to do with them. They're constantly shouting at you, they're angry at you. And I know most teenagers are angry because they don't know how to express their emotions. There's so much happening. There's so much identity clash within. Remember, they are crossing from being a child to becoming an adult, yet they haven't got the valor, they haven't got the strength, they haven't got the skills to do this adulthood, right? So the frustration within is quite a lot. And then
because I have actually heard a teenager say, I don't want to be an adult.
Yes, because it comes with responsibility and they haven't got the skills. And also, let's remember, they've been a child for like 12 years. That's all they know, right?
Yeah.
So they're having to live the identity that they've had for all these years. And now, because some of them are quite big as teenagers, we are expecting them to know, to do, to be something that what the world tells us that they should be, right?
Yeah.
So I remember that day. I waited. She's not coming down, and I'm thinking, God, I need to take her to the guides, you know. And then I remember going to knock at her door. I knocked at her door, and she was like, she burst out, and she was like, "What?" I said, "You're supposed to be going to the," and then she, you know, she blew over, and she was like, "You do not tell me what to do." And then she, you know, she nearly dropped me. Nearly dropped me. And then she went downstairs. And that day for me was the day the game changed, because I remember just I didn't even take her. I asked my partner to take her. And then I went away for a walk, and I walked for a very long, you know, time, because I was asking myself, what have I done wrong? What is it that I'm not doing? I'm thinking I'm the one who's like a leading expert in this area. Why is it not working for me, you know? And I remember going and sitting at I went and sat at a river, and I was just looking down, and my tears, they were just dropping in the river, right? It's dropping, and I'm looking at, and then, you know, the words of Mother Teresa came into my head, and I could hear her saying, if you want to change the world, you need to go home and change. You need to go home and love your family. And I remember brushing that water and saying, but I love my family, right? And then the same voice, the same word said to me, then go and practice what you teach.
Okay. Lovely.
Delores, I tell you what, that day it hit me that I was more of a talker than, and for some reason I thought I was exempt from actually practicing these principles.
With your daughter,
yeah, with my own daughter. My job is to teach, but so that day I remember I came here and I sat down and I said to myself, from now on, I'm going to practice everything that I tell parents to do. I will consciously and proactively do what I ask parents to do. And you know what? These principles are real.
Okay.
Within a month or two, right? My daughter and I, the relationship was a whole different level.
Good.
a whole different level. And it has
Yeah.
only gone on to improve. And it's because, and that's why I'm so big on, for all of those who have listened to my talks, I talk about having the correct information and then taking action on that information is what gives us transformation.
Yes.
I had all the correct information. I have the research, I have the testimonials, I have all those, but I was not taking action on that information. So I was not getting the transformation that I'm supposed to have.
Yeah.
So it was. So that is something I say to parents. I have been guilty of it. I don't know why I thought I would be exempt. And the truth about life, none of us is invincible, because I know some of my colleagues whose kids now, some of them have mental health problems, some of them are in prison, and these are not bad families. See, that is the biggest myth that parents of teenagers have, is that kids who are vulnerable to crime, sex exploitation, drugs exploitation are from bad families. Oh no, it's no longer like that.
No.
It's no longer like that. It's not. Any of us can be, any of us can fall, victim.
Yeah. Can I actually ask you a question? Because I know you said anyone can fall victim. For instance, when the young guy joins a gang, is that due to peer group pressure, or is that due to a mixture of peer group pressure and probably something going on at home that's missing, even though that child does not come from a bad family?
Right. Here is what happens, and here is what we know as researchers and also psychologists.
Yeah.
When a kid, especially, what we know is that, for example, we know that 40% of teenagers are reporting to be lonely.
Oh.
And what happens to lonely teenagers? Lonely teenagers become vulnerable to exploitation, right? When they are lonely at home, and that's why I really, really insist that the first thing, that before we learn all the other things, the habits of highly effective teenagers, before we learn all these other things, build strong bonds with your teenager. Because when you have that strong bond, right, you've already removed them from being that, from the vulnerability. So you asked a good question. So, like, when a kid carries a gun and maybe they're from a good family, what happened there, right? And you're right. So this kid, right? This kid is from a good family, and this is the myth we tell ourselves: good family. What is a good family?
Yes. Yes.
Right? Because you and I know that we know kids from all sorts of families who have done very atrocious crimes, and you're like, what? So this good family myth, we need to shine a torch on it, right? Because it's no longer valid. And this is why it's no longer valid, Dolores. Teen culture around the world is converging. What your child that lives in the castle is watching on the internet is what my child that lives with me in that one bedroom cramped up place. That's the same thing. That's the teen culture. So our kids are seeing the same things, talking the same language, you know, doing the same things, right? So we find the problems that they are facing are similar. So, gone are the days when I could say to my daughter, oh, don't speak to that kid down there. They're not good influence. Those days are gone because we have, my daughter has kids from from I don't know, they could any minute at the click of a button have access to a kid in Canada who is asking them to do something that I would never allow them to do.
Yeah.
And that's why it's very important for us as parents to maintain that strong bond. Because when we have that strong bond with our teenagers, and it's based on honesty and trust, then
I was just about to say the honesty.
Absolutely. Then your kid can have those conversations that connect you with them. And when they're having that connection, they can discuss things with you, right?
Yeah.
They will be able to look and say, when we talk about, for example, when I talk about the 5 habits of highly effective teenagers, there is one habit that is called robust. One of the R's is called robust. And that is based on values. What values drive your kid? What values drive your kid? Because it's those values that are going to tell them, don't do this when you're not there. Those are the values that when your kid is in a group of teenagers who want to bully someone or who want to hurt someone, it's that value that says, no, this is not me. This, the entity within me, this does not agree with me. This is not me. This is not how I do things. And the values are with such conviction that this kid is not easily influenced. In fact, they end up becoming the influencers because they are confident enough to speak about their own values, why they will not or do something. And then they say to the other kids, we'll see you later.
Yes. So you've got the 5, what are they called? Let me write this down. The 5 what? The 5 principles? One of them is called robust about values. Sorry?
We said the 5 habits of highly effective
5 habits, not principles. Right, I'll write that down.
In this room.
Okay, that's brilliant because these 5 habits, are these taught to parents? And I also understand that you actually go into schools as well.
Yes,
so are you
I teach these to parents, but I also teach them to young people.
Right, yes.
And the reason I do it on both sides is so that there is an understanding, because the reason I actually started working with parents was because as I taught the teenagers and they started to become what we call interdependent. That is a level beyond independence,
Okay.
That's a level beyond, and that's where every parent, all of us actually, we want to be at that level of interdependence. And what does this mean? This means that, for example, today we are having this conversation, right? We know that we're giving value to the world, right? Together.
Exactly.
It's a synergy, right? So I need you and you need me, right? I honor you and you honor me. None of us is feeling incapable in this conversation. None of us is, I'm not looking at you and thinking, oh, I wish I could be Dolores. She's the one that's interviewing. I'm not thinking like that. Right? No. You are giving me value, right? You are giving me value and I'm giving you value. And together we are giving value. That's what interdependent is. It's I am independent. I am confident. I am aware of my talents, my ability, and even my limitations, right? And I'm also aware that I cannot do it. I cannot do life by myself. So, and in that case, I partner with other people so that synergistically we can serve the world. That is that level of interdependence, right?
Yes. Yes.
And this is something we teach young people and parents as well.
Yes. So if there was a parent, because I've got some viewers here, if there was a parent who's sort of saying to themselves, oh, how do I bond with my son, or how do I bond with my daughter? They wouldn't even know where to start. What would you suggest? Because I noticed that you've got a free masterclass on your website.
Yes, I do. Actually, I always encourage parents to join that free masterclass. And it's the name, it says how to build strong bonds with your teenagers based on honesty and trust. So your teenager actually wants to listen to you. But what I can say to you today, starting today, you can begin to bond with your teenager just by, first of all, making that decision. I want, most of us, we parent by default, right? Oh, you're my kid, I'm your mother, or I'm your father, I'm your carer, I'm your grandma, I'm your grandpa. But we can do it proactively, decide, you know what, I actually want to have a clean, a clear, a beautiful relationship with this young person, right? And what we know is the more we look after ourselves as people, as parents, right? The more we are able to influence our young people. Because remember, as leaders, we are supposed to be influencers. And that means we are supposed to be credible enough for our young people to actually want to listen to us.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's about credibility, it's about authenticity. So what I would say today, for example, let's take a scenario. Maybe you've been arguing with your kid or shouting with, having this shouting contest with them for forever, right? What about the next time there is something like that? Don't say a thing. Let them shout, let them talk, what about you don't say anything in return to what they say? Small things, right? But a more proactive approach, because for example, sometimes it might take a teenager a long time to speak to you, so you can't wait for when they'll speak to you sometimes, so you have to be proactive. One of the most proactive action I ask parents to do is today go to your teenager and say, you know what, I've been thinking about this. I don't think I've been parenting you the way I should. And to be honest, this is a whole new level thing for me. That's called vulnerability. What happens when you tell your kid that? Their defense goes down, right?
Yeah.
The defense, it goes down. You're like, see, I don't know this thing, but I need your help.
Yes, and it sounds like value again. That's what it sounds like to me, because the parent is being honest with the child, yes, and the child has now come to a realization, and hopefully the child will want the parent to feel like a parent, because the child wants the parent. So I think the child will help the parent to be a parent, I think.
Do you know what? They love that. And you get so much respect without ever pushing for it.
Yeah.
So what happens there when you say to them, for example, one of a leader's quality, which you as a parent, as a leader, is humility. Is deciding, you know what, I don't know everything, so I'm going to ask the person that I serve. Remember, you're a leader to your kid, right? So I'm going to ask my follower as an influencer, I'm going to ask my follower, what do you want? What do you want to hear from me? What do you want? I mean, it's a very strange thing because, for example, in business, most of us, we go out, we do customer research, we want to please our customers, we want to give them the best.
Yeah.
At home, we have the main customer there. Do you know, most of us never ask them, actually, how would you like me to parent you? What do you think? What are your thoughts? And this is where the connection starts. And respect, what I have noticed, and it's something I say to parents all the time, it's something I call, if you want to regain respect with your young person, with your kid, even at school with teachers, if you want respect with a young person, you need to practice this, what I call 3 A's. That the three A's, right?
3 A's.
And this is acknowledge or accept. Then apologize. And then amend. Make amends.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And that's when I talked about acknowledge. Go and say to them, how do you think I've been doing as a parent? And be ready to be torn apart sometimes. Some of the things my daughter has told me, I'm like, you mean I was that bad?
Yeah, because you've given her the opportunity to tell her truth and to be honest with you.
Absolutely. I'm giving her the opportunity to tell her truth. And there's nothing as beautiful as a kid who can express themselves, who feels safe, who feels that they are safe with you. Oh my God. That is the thriving spot. If you want to thrive, be a safe space for them to speak.
Yes. Because you've got parents who have got a way of being very, commanding, to their children and reminding their children, well, you need to be listening to me. And that can be quite damaging, I think, or frustrating, or have you ever dealt with parents? Well, I can't say ask you the question, have you ever dealt with parents who do not want to take on some of your suggestions? Have you dealt with any parents like that? Or are they all very accommodating and they all take on the suggestions?
Of course, I do. Oh gosh. I deal with that all the time because change is hard. And also, in the area of parenting, the tradition is it was the bad parents that went for parenting classes. And that has changed. We're changing the game to, you are a leader, you need to learn the ways of parenting teenagers, because I usually tell parents, parenting teenagers is championship level parenting. You can't play village, you can't play village football at championship level. You don't do that.
Yes.
You don't do that. Right?
No.
Honestly, we need to learn these new ways of doing it, right? So your question is beautiful because you've asked whether I meet parents who are resistant. Of course you meet parents who are resistant. They're like, no, the kid should listen to me. I'm the mother. I'm the father. But then this is where I say, yes, no one is telling you you're not the father or the mother. But do you want to parent by design or by default? Because if you're there just as a position level leader, that is not influence. You have absolutely no influence on them. That's when kids look at you and they're thinking, what are you telling me? Right? But you can do it by design. And I asked them, I said to them, you can do it by design. And it's up to you.
So do
And then
you
what
sort
I
of,
said to them, do you want me to say what I said to them is, I don't even want you to just believe these principles, these strategies. All I ask you is go and try it. Because if you try it and it doesn't work, at least that's evidence for yourself. But don't just reject something even
without
without
having
trying it.
tried? Yes, yes.
Without trying it. And this is something that is harmless, right? What I'm asking you to do is, today when you have a conversation with your young person, say to them, I hear you. I see. Aha. I see. Tell me more. Oh, I never saw it like that.
Yes.
And it's by saying those little words genuinely. No, you're not being sarcastic or something,
Yeah, or
but being
sycophant or
authentic.
whatever. Yes. Yes.
Yes. And I tell you, you will see the shift happening. You see the shift happening. And this is, I know at the very beginning you asked me, I think we got a little bit of a disconnection, and you asked me a bit of my story of how I
Yes.
ended up becoming but there was a bit of a computer something that happened, so I didn't hear the
Yes.
whole question.
Right. Okay. Was that the one? Sorry. Carry on. Carry on. Sorry.
So what I want to say on the back
The
of that,
sunlight. Sorry. Yes.
yeah, no, don't worry. It's so hot in here as well. As you can
Yeah.
see, the sun is literally coming
It's
to my
really
face and
glaring
making me
down.
shine and sweat.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So never underestimate the power of mentors, right? When people like us, when people like myself and you, Dolores, having this conversation, it's a mentoring conversation and it changes lives. Because here is what the brain does. Once the brain is exposed to an idea, it never goes back how it was. There's so many synaptic nerves. There's so much that happens. It expands, and you want to learn, and you can never be the same again. So for me, I think before we started this, you talked about learning and listening to podcasts, and
Yes.
when I was 10, a mentor changed my life. Someone said something that I had never heard. You know, I was born, as Dolores, you said, I was born in Kenya in extremely impoverished circumstances. And you know, where you don't know where the next meal is going to come from. And you're this kid, I was that kid. You know, sometimes you see those kids on TV that give this money for that. I was one of those kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't know where the next meal is going to come from. And I had to walk miles and miles to school on a hungry tummy. And that's all we knew. That's everything I knew. And then I remember one term, a teacher, and she was a temp teacher, came to my school. And the words of that woman completely changed my life. And that's why I so believe in mentors. And that's how my journey to becoming a mentor, an adolescent psychologist, a parenting teenagers expert, that's where it started, because someone shifted my way of thinking.
Right.
You know,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
in the middle of everything that was happening, she said to me that I could change my story. And obviously at that time you're wondering, is this person crazy or what? How can you? You're thinking you've never, you know. But she opened my mind to possibilities, and that's what mentors do.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember she said to me that I could go to a school where they had 3 meals a day. I didn't know such things existed. I thought all kids all over this is what happens. You don't eat, you don't know where the food's going to come. Then you go home, you have to go to fetch water from the river, and that's all I knew. And then she opened my mind, and I began to dream. And you know what? The circumstances didn't change. And the teacher didn't stay there forever because she left and she went. I think she was one of the, I don't know whether she was doing internship or temp, but she was only there for a term.
Right. Yeah.
But what she said to me changed the person I would become.
Wow.
I stopped focusing on the problems I was having, and I started dreaming of how my life would change. And I'm telling you, it changed. In a couple of years, I went to the actual school I had thought and dreamt about, that she had introduced. It was an idea in me.
Yes.
And I found myself eating 3 meals a day.
Wow, that's really good. Yeah.
That's how mentors can change your life. And obviously that was just the beginning. I've had many other mentors in life, and that.
Yes. The system is just showing me I've got 5 minutes, but let's see if we have got 5 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah.
So what you've just said to me has just been, I'm sorry, that's the system. Because, we started with 15 minutes, didn't we? But we'll just keep going. Because I'm really taking all of this in. This is really lovely. And I'm really hoping that, some parents are getting good information from you. When you go into the schools, do you actually go into a classroom, or how do you do your mentoring in the school? Is it one-to-one with the school children, or is it all in a class? Are the parents present or not?
I've done it differently.
Okay.
No. When we go to school, the parents are not present, but there is a teacher to facilitate. And we have sometimes it's just an assembly, right? Sometimes I do it as just an assembly, and sometimes it's a workshop. There is
an assembly.
Especially, so for example, the workshop, we have a workshop called Relentless Resilience, right? So Relentless Resilience workshop over 4 weeks. So this is where we learn about the resist. We learn about resilience and the working of how the brain works. I speak with teenagers how powerful their brain is, but also how much power they have over what happens, how much they can control in their. We are electromagnetic beings, right? So we teach in very fun ways that when these kids get it, this blame, blaming someone for this or blaming that completely dissipates, because they realize that they have so much control over what happens internally, right? That they have no one to blame for their thoughts, their feelings, their actions. Right?
You're opening them to very privileged information. Wow.
Yeah.
Because not many people think in that way.
But
Wow.
when
I
these
wonder what
kids
they rush home and say to their
understand
parents when they get home.
aha. So and do you see what I was about to say to you? The reason I started working with parents was because I would teach these kids these ideas, these strategies, and then the kids would become so empowered, right? But then the parents didn't know what was happening, and there was sort of a clash, again, a clash and a threat, and that's not what we want.
No.
So you have a kid who's telling the parent, when the parent says, "Oh, you made me feel this, you made me do this," and the kid says, "Actually, mother or father, you are
Yes.
responsible."
Yes. I'm going to read a question from someone that they said, "Thank you for the educational and informative session. What is a good
Yeah,
response when the teenager makes
yeah.
a request you definitely would say no? How to say no gently without their shouting, down?" Yes, that's the question. And her name is
Nice.
Joan. Her name is Joan.
That,
So there you go.
oh, nice. Right.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So when when a teenager asks something that is maybe even dangerous, right? This is a response I say to parents. Say, okay, this is what you say to them. "Oh, that's a great ask. What do you think?" Right? So you ask them. First of all, you've acknowledged them and they know that you've heard them because you've said, "Oh, that's a great ask. What do you think?" Now, when you ask them what do they think, they begin to process in their mind the rationale for why this, what they're asking for, will serve them. And what we must remember is that all human beings are self-preserving. So most kids, in fact, most of us will not do something that is dangerous to ourselves
Right.
willingly. The only reason we do that is because we don't know. But when you give them
Okay.
that opportunity to, when you ask them, okay, for example, your kid says, "Oh, I want to come back at 1 o'clock in the morning." All right, okay. Why do you think that is okay? Do you think that's a good time? They'll probably say yes. Okay. So what are you going to be doing until that time? What is it that happens until that time? And then you begin that conversation. And as you go through the conversation, remember, you're not telling them yes or no. You're not condemning the time. You're not picking anything as wrong or right. You're having a conversation. And I promise you, as you have that conversation and as they feel safe with you, most kids will come to the conclusion, "Oh, actually, I think I'll come back at 11. It's safer at 11. They'll tell you things like, "Oh, at 1, that's when the most pubs are closing. That's when the drunks are out." They tell you those things. They know.
Yes. So basically, it's saying get them to talk, get them to have a conversation with you. Yes. So,
Absolutely. But most
yeah.
importantly, let them know that I heard them. I hear you. I see
Yeah.
you. I value you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, can I just
Yeah?
ask this person if they're still listening, or the numbers haven't gone down? How do they feel about your response? Is it something that they will
Yeah?
actually do, have a conversation with the child or teenager? But if Joan, her name's Joan. If Joan does not want to answer, that's perfectly fine, because you've given a really logical, I have to say, answer. Because once you started answering that question, I had no idea how I would even tackle it. So that's helped me. I would acknowledge and then ask them the question, what do you think? And I love that.
Absolutely.
So we've got
always.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Yesterday, my daughter has a friend that's staying over. They are both 15. So yesterday, for the first time, they asked me to go for a movie that was starting at 9:15 in the night. So we've got two 15-year-old girls, right? So remember, that one's mine, and the other one is the other person. So I am the responsible adult. So watch. Was it what are they going to watch? I forget now, but maybe it will come around. So I said to them, so what's the plan? They were like, okay. Okay, we've not thought about that. But when pick us up, so obviously it was ending almost midnight, right? So imagine it's the first time I'm leaving two young girls in the movies by themselves. I don't know who else is there. So it's scary, right? But how I handled it was, when they told me, I said, first of all, I asked the age of the movie, and they said it was a 15. And then I said, okay, that's all right. So do you feel safe going there? And there was a bit of conversation because it's the first time and all that. And then we talked about looking after each other and looking after self. And we discussed what to do if anything goes wrong. And, it's having conversations.
Yes.
Yeah. But the most,
definitely.
and you know what? When I went to pick them up, they were so excited. They were feeling that they were feeling on top of the world. They had been allowed to go, and today they've just been the best kids because I trusted them.
Yes, that's great.
And that's what happens. That's what happens.
So it's almost as though you're treating them like little adults.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, Dolores, you've said something so perfect. Because what I say is that, what I say with parents is, especially when we are parenting teenagers, we need to move from parenting as such to partnering. How would you treat a partner?
Yes.
A partner comes up with something. How do you treat them?
Yes.
Have a conversation.
Exactly.
So
Joan has come back. She says, yes. Can I tell you what Joan has said? Is that okay with you to tell you what Joan has said?
Yeah.
Okay. But were you trying to say something and I rudely interrupted you? Did I interrupt you? I hope I didn't. Okay, so she says, thanks for the response. I think that is great. Sometimes it is a request which the teen should or can do for themselves.
Oh, that's even better. Because this is what you say to them. Oh, for example, they ask you for I don't know. Mommy, can you make my bed? And then I'll say, okay, I've heard you. Explain to me why a capable, responsible 15-year-old would want their mother to rob them of their independence. Explain to me.
Oh, that's so lovely. Yes.
And that kind of a conversation, it makes them get into action, First of all, and in that sentence, what we've done, you've validated, you've shown them that I've heard you,
Yes.
and then you validated them, and then another thing you've done, which teenagers love so much, and most parents don't know, is praise. So what you've said to them is, you're capable.
Capable.
Remember, you mentioned you're capable. Explain to me why a capable, responsible young person would want me to rob their independence. See, the teenagers have part of the brain. They have a part of the brain that is it becomes very heightened, especially in teenage years. It's called the striatum, and it loves
striatum.
Yeah, the striatum part of the brain, it loves to be praised. It loves. It's not this phrase. Oh, good boy. That's not that one. But we have to be creative. For example, in the I affirmed them as capable. It feels nice, doesn't it?
Yes.
It does feel nice.
Yes.
So we need to appeal to those parts of the brains that makes them become that not only independent but interdependent young people.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
So that is how I would respond. And in fact, that is how even I do it with my daughter. That's what I do. I've done with young people. Young people would say to you, they'll ask for all sorts. Because again, all of us can be lazy, right? But then always remind them that you don't want to rob them of their own independence. You don't want to disable them. You don't want to incapacitate them.
Yes.
And those are the conversations.
Because thinking about what you're saying, a parent can actually react, and then that causes friction immediately. Why are you asking me to make your bed? Or whatever. Yeah, who do you think? Or whatever, depending on the individual kind of character and personality they have and relationship they have with their child. But you're making it like very, very simple. I hear you. And then the validation, and then the praise, and then it's so good. I love it, because like you say, the striatum makes the teenager very receptive.
I tell you. The striatum, it's the part of the brain. It's called the reward center. It likes to be rewarded. It's the one that's why, if you've listened to me talk about the 80-20 rule, 80-20, encouraging your teenager to listen to you and to do what you want them to do. Practice. Before you ask them for one thing, affirm them, praise them for 4. By the time you go to ask them for 1, they want to do anything for you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Okay.
And that's why and that's it's so interesting, because it's very, very interesting, because now my daughter and most of the her friends that come around and spend time with her, sometimes I'll go to them and say, oh, look at you, you've got this, you got this, and then I'll remind them of something they've done and all that. And then they get to a point, they're like, oh, we know that. why don't you just tell us what you want us to do? Because they're so used to it, you know, they're so used to that 80-20 rule that they know that, oh, mommy, just cut the chase. Just ask me what you want me to do.
So they know.
So they
Lovely.
know the drill, which is
Yes.
amazing. Even our friends, I will go to them. And by the way, I'm not being phony, I'm not being deceptive. I'm not going to say to them, you've got the loveliest ears, and maybe they have insecurity about the. That's not. We're talking authenticity. We are talking about me saying to one of her friends, oh, I heard, or your dad told me you did this. This is remarkable. You know, yesterday when you came through the door, you noticed that there were letters on there, and you picked them up and then you put them on the letter shelf, right? It's those things. It's catching them doing something positive and then keeping that in mind and then reminding them, because sometimes we can fail at this praise game because our teenagers know when we're telling the truth or not. I mean, if I said to her that you picked the letters, and be like, no, I didn't, but it's a fact. She picked the letters and I appreciated it. So she can't, in her head, she cannot contest with that.
Right.
It's so, these are very powerful strategies. And I don't know if I mentioned that I have worked with young people, even in prison, right? Yeah, young secure training center. And these are some of the things, these are some of the strategies that we use to actually help our young people thrive. Because within every person, this is my belief, within every young person is a seed of greatness, and all we need is to water it, to shine the light on it, and then to allow them to thrive. That's what we need.
Yes. So you equip young people who are incarcerated. You equip them to have the skills to communicate, so that when they are released, they can communicate with their parents or guardians or whoever.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that change. They can change within. And you know, like I said before, the reason I now work with both young people and parents is because I realized when the kids started growing and the parent does not understand what's happening, the parent may not be supportive of what's happening. But what we want is that the parents are supportive of this growth that is happening to the young person. And I tell you what, when there is support, oh gosh, I look at some of these kids and you're like, my goodness, this is beautiful. This, so, some of the parents, it's just beautiful, because this kid is going to do well. They're going to do well in their life, and they are not giving, their parents are not losing their mind, right? And that's what we want. That's what we want.
Yes, exactly. So how do parents come to you, or do you seek them out? How does it even happen? Please. Is it from your online course? Is it social services departments? Is it private organizations?
Yes. I have a lot of recommendation from most of the parents that come to me are proactive parents. Because because I share about my own story, about my own parenting, about my own work in a very authentic way, showing that any of us can need this support, can need this help. I see many parents coming to say, you know what? I want to be a leader. I want to be proactive. I want to parent by design. I don't want this to be just by default. I don't like this thinking that teenagers and parent disconnection is normal. It is not. It's something that happens a lot. But why should we normalize things that are not good? Why can we not normalize great relationships?
Yeah.
Why can we not normalize beautiful relationships with our teenagers? We can normalize that. And that's what I see from those that come to me. That's the kind of caliber that come to me.
So it's really all done by conversation, but more than anything by design. And that's really quite fascinating.
Absolutely.
And
decide that I want a good relationship with my teenager, right? I want a good relationship with my kid, right? And when you have great relationship with your kid, they're less likely to be targeted. Remember earlier I said they tell us they're ugly, right? But when you have this strong bond with them, they are less likely to be exploited.
Yes.
We know whether it's sex exploitation, whether it's drugs exploitation, whether it's crime exploitation, and they're less likely to have mental health problems.
Yes. Yes.
Because a lot of mental health problems, a lot of mental health problems stem from not feeling enough, right? Remember when we talked about the identity crisis that's happening in the young person? So they begin to not know themselves, right? But can you imagine when you have this parent who is knowledgeable, the parent that understands, whoops, I know exactly what's happening in that teenage brain. I know that the frontal cortex, the frontal lobe is not fully developed. That's why you are so emotional. I know that teenagers don't know how to read emotions. So they read most emotions as people are angry with me. So they are defensive. That's why most of the time, what's wrong with you? What have I done? And you've just looked at them and they're like, whoa. And that's when you understand those things, then you know this kid is not out to get me. He's not out to get me. But there's a lot coming in their brain. And then when you understand they have this heightened stratum, you know that I praise more. I connect before I correct. I connect before I correct.
Yes. Right. Yes.
So you're thinking as a parent, you're thinking like that. You're thinking like that. You're thinking, I want to hear you. I want you to know that I see you.
Yes. And you know what I'm picking up? What I'm picking up is that they're delicate. It's like their brains are still forming. So they are to be treated quite delicately, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very correct. You are spot on.
Okay.
You are spot on. One of the major things I speak to parents about is that we are able to parent them more compassionately.
Yes.
Right? Because when you understand what's happening in a person, then you know that actually this kid is not just trying to be rude to me. It's emotions they don't know how to express. They don't have the words. They don't know what to do. And then we are more understanding. We bring it down to their level, right? No matter how big they are, we bring it down to their level. Now tell me more. Help me understand. Explain this to me. Yeah. And when they feel listened to, and when they feel heard, and when they feel seen, oh, these kids, I want you to think about as a farmer, right? A farmer will, what does a farmer do? They don't go and interfere with the seed. They know the seed will grow to be, for example, it's a corn grain, it will grow to be corn. So they don't go in there and interfere with the corn. But what they do, make sure that there are no weeds, they water the seed, they make sure that there is in sunlight, the environment. And that's what as parents we are there for.
Yes.
And then when we do that, we allow our kids to thrive and grow.
Yes. Yes. Wow.
It's a very...
I'm listening. You said it's a very... because I'm getting ready to ask a question. Yeah, I was just saying to myself, everything that you've just said is absolutely great and really, really helpful. And I was just wondering what happens should you find a teenager in a home where the mother is taking on board everything you're saying, but the father doesn't. Have you ever had that where the parents, where the father feels that the teenager should be managed more sternly and the mother is just mollycoddling, Have you ever had anything like that?
Absolutely. And
yes.
What, by the way, the strategies I teach has nothing to do with mollycoddling. Absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, the opposite of it. Right?
Yes.
This is what we teach is, take. When a tomato plant is growing, right? All you do is take, you put a stick like this, and then it just goes round, it goes, right?
Yes.
All you do is take, right?
Yes.
So if the parents are in disagreement, or the parents are not even together and they don't believe in the same thing, right? What I say to them, be this like the sun. Show up and shine. Show up and shine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the other parent thinks or what they don't think. Be like the sun. Show up and shine. You see, the sun comes out every day, whether we come out and enjoy it, or whether we thank it, or whether we say, "Oh, thank you," or "You're wonderful." It just shows up and shines. Shows up, shines. And this is what I say to parents. Because even after doing all these things, some of the kids, because of how long maybe they've been in this conditioning of resistance against their parents, it may not happen overnight. Remember, conditioning and behavior can take some time to change.
Yes.
But
Yes.
When you're continuously showing up as a model, right? Preaching what you say, right? You're not the one to shout. You don't criticize them, right? You affirm them. You connect with them before correcting them. They will gravitate towards the direction. Every living being gravitates towards the direction of light.
Yes, they do. Yes. So you could say it's a form
Even
of
when
nature.
Sorry?
You could say it's a form of nature, science. I was going to say something really extraordinary. Quantum physics.
Oh yes. You are correct. You know, everything I talk about, there's a lot of quantum physics in this. A lot of it. And that's why at first we talked about electromagnetic beings, which is quantum physics, right?
Yes.
And yes. And I say to the parent, sometimes it's the father or the mother. I say to them, because they'll say, oh, this one doesn't agree with me about this. And I say to them, it's not about doing, it's about being. Be that person that you're asking your teenager to be. If they want to treat them in the manner they want to treat them, let them do it. Because you can't control what another person does. But this is what I know for sure, right? Especially if the parents are together. If someone is constantly observing this is what's working and that's not working, they will want to cross over. They will cross over.
Right. They will cross over. Yes. What is your success rate? Yes. What is your success rate? What I mean by that is,
you know what?
If you're working with a parent and a teenager, and as you said, sometimes it takes a while for the conditioning to happen. Do you have any sort of stories to tell about a teenager and parent situation where it's taking a long time?
Like quantitative data.
Sorry?
Here's the thing. If you do it right, if you do it correct, right? Like I said to you, for me, it took me about my own disconnection with my daughter. It took me about 2 different connections, right?
2 months. Yes.
Some of my parents, it takes them weeks, just a few weeks. Some of them, in fact, there's a parent that said to me, it took them 1 week. And this is what, and it's something I suggested, and they did it. And because it's about shifting the needle. You know, it's about shifting the needle.
Yes.
And then everything that's supposed to happen happens. What, you know, the ones I was saying, sometimes it can take a couple of months.
Yes.
Another thing I always say to parents is, even if the kid completely refuses to come on board with your ideas and all that, you will find that yourself are not suffering.
Right.
And if you're not suffering, you're more influential when you're not suffering.
Yes. Okay. Because I'm sure I've read.
You're getting lost.
I've got a little bit of a disturbance on the line. Yeah. Yes, it's good when the parent isn't suffering, because I actually read something about you helping the parents with their mentality or mental health as well. So once you're helping the parent, it helps them to be very communicative and effective with the teenager. Right. Sorry, did you hear all of that?
Absolutely.
Great.
When we talk about, no, I didn't hear the question fully.
That you help the parent to maintain their mental health state of mind.
What did you say?
You help the parents as well to maintain their mental health, their state of mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. Right. So can I just ask you if I can put your...
Absolutely.
we've got a time delay going on.
My Sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, I'm saying that there is a time delay going on because I think that it's going to... Time delay. So when you say something to me, it's taking quite a few seconds to get to me. By the time you've said it, you're saying something else, and it's, you know what I mean by time delay. But I think that technology has been quite good today to us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to end it now because we have been on for an hour and 20 minutes. And I think that it gives us 10 minutes extra. And I think we're going to go over that 10 minutes. And I can't thank you enough for honouring this. And you've helped Joan, who was brave enough to come on with her question. Thank you, Joan, if you're still here. And Joan, you can find Angela, that's any other parent or relative or guardian, on raisingremarkableteenagers.com. And there are free sessions and free masterclasses packed with so much really valuable information. And I'm going to have to say to you that you've actually helped me as an adult with what you have, with what you have just, you know, stated to me in this whole hour, because a lot of what you've said, it can be an adult to adult relationship as well, but maybe slightly different words because I'm not in your field. But it's acknowledging people, it's hearing people, it's letting people be, you know, just like the teenagers. And it's almost as though it's preparing them for adulthood too, and to be good adults. When I say good adults, you know what I mean? Strong adults, aware adults, resilient, as you've said, and highly effective. So I know that people can find you on raisingremarkableteenagers.com. I'm going to put all your details in the YouTube anyway. So if anybody wants to find you, they'll find you there, your Instagram handle, everything. Is that all right with you? Everything? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, the class. Yes.
I can hear somebody talking. Is that someone talking to you?
Absolutely.
Someone
And the actual class, and just go to /class. That is your free masterclass. And I'm saying, honestly, if you just take the snippets in that class only, if you practice just one or two strategies that I share, I promise you, your life can change like night and day. It has changed thousands of parents around the world. It has. and
Oh,
you
that's
can change
wonderful.
yours too, because is it? No, there's no one here.
Right, because it sounds like I can hear somebody talking to you. I don't know if there's some kind of crossover taking place, actually. It's just me and you. Okay, then, so I'm going to say, yeah, I'm still on. I'm going to say goodbye now, very reluctantly, but also happily, because I'm so glad to have had this conversation with you. And thank you for imparting your wonderful information. And yes. Okay, so I'm going to switch off now. I hope everybody has enjoyed this. I'm listening to what I'm saying, what I've just said to you. There's a time delay. It's still delivering to you.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Just
so
before you switch off, Dolores,
yes,
right?
yes. Yeah.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah. Yes, I'm just about hearing you. You said just before you switch off, Dolores. Yes.
Oh,
The sun.
do you want me to say what?
I think you might have to say it over.
What I wanted to say is one. Yes, one of the reasons why I actually accepted to come on branding. She has not finished yet. It just
I can hear a dog barking. Is that your house? Can you hear the dog barking?
I think we are lost completely.
I think there's a crossover. Ah.
Sorry?
Right, okay, so I'm going to cut off now because we're having a lot of technical issues. So I'm going to send you an email because I would like you to send me the information that you were just about to tell me about my brand. She has not finished yet. Yes? Thank you so much. All right, thank you so much. Okay then. Bye-bye, Angela. Bye. Bye. Bye.